For this year, you need to see some things with your spirit that you cannot see with your senses. And the reason this is so important is because if you don't recognize where the enemy is attacking you the most frequently and ask God to give you insight into the places of your greatest vulnerability, you will spend all of your energy this year fighting battles that you could have avoided. It makes you mad when you realize that a lot of the battles that you fought, you could have avoided if you had listened to what was on the inside instead of responding to what was on the outside. And let me help you with something real quick. Some of the battles that you fought last year were in places that you never should have been. There are certain places that you need to stay away from this year, because if you go there and then ask God to protect you in those places, I don't know whether to start with Facebook or whether to start with CNN or whether to start with Fox News, but we have to be very careful about where we go. Watch this, not just with our bodies, but with our minds, because it is very possible that God is trying to warn you about certain places that every time you go there, you start feeling judgmental, or every time you go there, you start having comparison, or every time you go there, you start feeling like your life is missing something. And it's really interesting how certain places bring me into vulnerability. And I just want to ask the question, have you lived long enough to know yet where you're most vulnerable? There were certain places where the enemy intended to attack, but because the king had somebody on the inside. Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody on the inside that could tell you, like it can tell you where there's traffic, and it can show you on the GPS where there's going to be traffic? Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody on the inside, like Elisha was on the inside and he was feeding information to the king saying, don't go there? Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody on the inside? Wouldn't it be cool if you didn't have to go into this year alone, but you could have somebody on the inside? Wouldn't it be awesome if when Jesus Christ went to heaven, he sent down his spirit to live in those who would believe in his name? Wouldn't it be awesome if you had somebody on the inside, the Spirit of truth, the Spirit of righteousness, the Spirit of God telling you, don't go there, don't think that, don't complete that, cut off that conversation, don't give them all that information. And here's the beautiful thing about it. God will show you where to be on your guard if you will give him the opportunity. And yet we all the time, we go into states of discouragement, and then we try to pray our way out of them. But we got discouraged because of a mental game that we played. For God to do something new in your life this year, you will have to save your strength for the things that matter. And that means you are going to have to listen to the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God will tell you, don't return that phone call. Don't return that text. Don't even go there. You'll start thinking something in your mind, and the Spirit of the Lord will show you, you can't afford to play with that. You can't play around with the devil and then ask God to deliver you from the devil that you were playing with. There are some places you cannot afford to go this year. Your soul cannot afford it. Your joy cannot afford it. Your peace cannot afford it. Because God will not strengthen you for a battle that he did not call you to fight. You've got to let go this year of the need to prove things to people, because that is not a battle God has called you to fight. You've got to let go this year of trying to make up for things that are in the past and that God has already forgiven. That is not a battle God has called you to fight. It is over. It is gone. The old is gone. The new has come. You have got to ask the Spirit of God what areas to avoid in this year. Are you a problem for the enemy? I'm going to tell you how you can know if you are. If nothing ever goes wrong in your life and you never burn the toast, if everything is so nice and neat and orderly and you never face any kind of resistance, it means that the devil isn't threatened by you at all. The moment that you begin to fulfill the purpose God created you for, the enemy will dispatch special forces. I suggest to you that the reason you had some of your problems is because you are such a problem for the darkness because of the light that you carry. So let me tell you how you can prove that God is with you, okay? The way that you can prove that God is with you is not by the fact that nothing bad ever happens to you. The proof, my mom used to say, the proof is in the pudding. Well, I found out when it comes to the things of God, the proof is in the problem. How do I know that God is using me and that He has great plans for me? How do I know that God has put a big calling on my life? How do I know that God has something outstanding for my future? I know the size of my calling by the size of my problem.